So, hello today, and we're going to be discussing Sightglass fittings, sort of stream of consciousness, bringing up the good and the bad and the really bad. What I'm holding in my hand here is an example of a Sightglass fitting that I hope you don't have on your steam boiler, but some of you might, or some of you may run into this in your travels and you have to deal with it. It's no longer installed on boilers, but you can buy this new, and I would advise that you don't. Just to give you an idea, this is what a usual Sightglass fitting is on a steam boiler. This happens to be the top fitting, so there's no place for the drain on the bottom. Usually a 1/2 inch national pipe thread. There's the back of it. There's the shut off there. You see that? And these are the wings for the Sightglass protection rod, the shut-off valve. Let's see if you can see it. And that's real. That small hole there is designed to prevent the fluctuations of the in the Sightglass. That kind of modulates the violence that's going on inside the boiler. And you take this apart, you can see that it's really just a very simple stem mechanism, and very little to go wrong. You might have to repack this. I'll show you how to do that later, maybe if we have time. But this is rebuildable, and not much that can go wrong on it. This is a ball valve rather than a threaded metal to metal. I've got a cutaway right here. You can see the Teflon gaskets for the ball, and this is the little screw that held the plastic handle. The ball usually jams. You can see that no one really wants to touch these things because if you do touch them, they leak out of this stem here. This is the buildup of the dirt that clogged this thing, so the Sightglass couldn't be read properly. You're supposed to be able to remove these plugs, top here to go this way, and this plug so you can ream it this way. It's a good idea, but the execution was lacking. This just simply didn't have the robust nature of a proper ball valve. Here's the other half of it. There's the ball. It's kind of small, easily scarred up with the rust and debris that's going to be coming through here. This is the top of the stem. That's the groove there where the O-ring was that provides a seal for the stem. Let's see, I have the, here's the part of the material, and it's totally brittle and cracks, and the thing leaks and fails. So this thing is not good at all. Here's what it looks like. This was obviously the top one, and this was the bottom one where it leaked and corroded this. The other thing to be aware of is that if you have to replace this nut here, this is what a nut looks like. And this is one that you can buy and wholesale plumbing supply store. The problem is it won't fit on this because for whatever reason, I don't know why, this is metrish. This is 1.25 millimeters to the thread or whatever. So this is not a standard one. Standard a standard thread in North America for Sightglass fitting is see if you can read that. I'm sorry you can. It's 15/16 by 18 thread. 15/16 by 18 thread. So I usually have a die here. I like to have a die on hand sometimes because when you work on these things, sometimes the threads get boogered and you can't make them up. So if you have this die on hand, you're able to clean up the threads and make it work. And I've used that to, when I've had to deal with these things, I'll just rethread that metric junk and make a good American thread. And I'm able to at least get this thing to the Sightglass to stop leaking. But I make sure I don't. I'd rather drain the boiler than touch these guys. This is pretty well jammed up. Can't move it. It's just there you go. It's just it's just really bad. You saw it here, folks. That's not going to be good. So this will be consigned to the oblivion that it so richly deserves. Yeah, this is the actual nut that fits on there. It's metric. It'll work on the North American. But sort of. You know, if it won't, hell, I got a tap. 15/16 by 18 tap, and I'll retap this to make it work if necessary. This will be put off to the side here and dealt with later. So let's talk about this. This comes in a couple of varieties. You have the relatively short variety. This is an alloy handle. The screw is 1024. There's the stem there. It's a little slight bevel on it. And the two handles that you're likely to see are, this is a standard Combraco phenolic resin handle. And that goes on there like so. Be careful, these are brittle. I put too. If you tighten the screw up too much, it'll crack. Some of the older handles have the slotted screw. Usually, Phillips nowadays. Sometimes you run into it, and then you'll have this cross piece. Remember, that's 1/8 inch by I think 3/4. Watch out when you take these things apart. That'll slide right off and drop right down into the debris by the boiler, and you might have a little trouble finding it. See, it fits in that cross space there. So you got these two basic handles. They are not interchangeable. You have to fit that in there like that, and put the screw on there. Set that aside. Oh yeah, this one, as you can see, is longer than this one. And that can be important when you're trying to thread this onto a boiler through a boiler jacket. This one will be a little bit tight, so be aware they come in different lengths. Otherwise, if you want to use the shorter one, you have to get a 1/2 inch brass coupling and then a nipple to go in to the boiler. Please use brass, guys. Don't use steel. It's a little annoying when you do that, because what will happen is the steel will rust, will clog up. You got to unclog it and take it out. Then the thing it breaks off in the boiler, and you got a long day. So you want to use either stainless steel or brass. But anyway, sometimes the packing gets a little loose, and so what you can do is back out the packing nut, and I would get on this one, some of the nuts, some of the ones have bigger nuts, but usually the smaller nuts is what you find. I would get very thick Teflon tape. In general, the thick Teflon tape, this is usually used for, in some areas, you can use this for gas. You break off a length and sort of spin it. Fingers aren't working well today. Usually I'm able to sort of spin this into a thread, and then wrap this around like so, and use this to tighten. So that should do it. Didn't do such a good job on there, but if you tighten that up, then this will no longer leak. So I hope this is a help to you, and if you want to see more of this, let me know.